It was perhaps the greatest Test series win in the 147-year-long history of Test match cricket. Forget Donald's re-election. New Zealand's 3-0 victory against India in India should be the biggest story of the week. Elsewhere, England lost their ODI series in the West Indies after an 8-wicket defeat in Barbados last night. And as Marcus Harris, Nathan McSweeney, Cameron Bancroft and Sam Constance fight it out for a place at the top of the Australia order this summer, playing for the Australian Rays, their opponents India are accused of ball tampering. It's murky waters. I personally am nervous to discuss. Hello and welcome back to Behind the Stumps, where I, Will Kirkup, take you through the world of cricket with Rayan Amalan and Luke Ashbery. Good afternoon, boys. It is the 7th of November 2024. And we've got another hectic week of cricket to go over. How are you doing, Ray? How are things over on your end?
Yeah, boys, all good. How are you guys?
Yeah, not too bad. A little bit tired. I haven't revealed this before, but I'm a Sunderland supporter, and I was in Preston last night to watch us play out a 0-0 draw after a 3.5-hour journey over. Sunderland had 2 shots, I think, but we're still top, so all is well. Luke, how are you faring? How's your past week been?
Yeah, not bad. I think what you said there just sort of reaffirms my belief that cricket is the primary sport and definitely better than football. At least it's played in a lot warmer temperatures than Preston on a cold Wednesday night.
It was not fun.
No. But yeah, I'm good. We've actually had some good engagement on Twitter, and I've been very, very impressed and following our YouTube numbers. And I was delighted to see.
Let's not boast too much.
I was delighted to see that we got over 200 views, which for 3 mates waffling about cricket, I was pretty proud of.
200 views. I've not had a look. That is pretty unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
get in touch with Sky Sports. We'll be on there in a jiffy.
Yeah, it's about retaining them now.
Shout out to the India audience for basically keeping us going.
Yeah,
keeping the lights on. Ray's mates keeping the lights on.
Shout out to the Twitter engagements. I think that's the reason for the views, I guess.
That's almost certainly correct. Let's start with. We're gonna have to start with New Zealand, India. I'm afraid, Rayan. I want to do a quick, just like appraisal before Ray. You probably inevitably lay into the India side of what is perhaps. I said it in the intro. I think it obviously nostalgia merchant. I mean, recency bias comes into this, but it has to be up there. It's not ludicrous to say. I think the fact that it was 3-0, I think it isn't ludicrous to say that it's the greatest Test win. I mean, it's the greatest Test win of my lifetime. I don't know if you guys would agree or disagree with that. I think it was it's the first time New Zealand have won 3-0. Have won 3 games in a series. It's the first time they've won 3-0. Ray, am I right in saying it's the first time India have lost 3 games in a series? Yeah. It's the first time they've lost 3-0.
Yeah.
Rachin Ravindra, what a boy. Will Young, at the top of the order, has had a pretty unbelievable series as well. And then, I can't believe it. His name's just lost me right there. And then the spinner in the last Test who took 11 wickets. Azam? That's so poor, I've forgotten his name.
Yeah, Ajaz
Patel. Where's shocking from me. Apologies. But yeah, Ajaz Patel took 11 for and was. Are you allowed to say making the ball talk for a spin bowl? But he really was. He got everything out of that surface. And India deserved to win. New Zealand deserved to win. It was I only managed to watch that final day in Mumbai, but it was, to see the celebrations afterwards as well, of the New Zealand boys. It made me jealous. It made me very jealous. I'll say that much. Luke, before I come to Ray's dismantling of breaks down why it went wrong for India, just what were your thoughts on the series and on what happened?
Yeah, as you said, Ray will be able to explain a lot better than I. But yeah, as I said last week, I think it was always going to happen. India were eventually going to get beaten at home, but never did I think it would be New Zealand in this series.
3-0 as well.
Yeah, but I think it is good for Test cricket in a way. New Zealand may be one of the, I guess, underdogs on the Test circuit. But yeah, very, very good Test team. Good to see them get the victory, and now it's going to be a real test for England to go over there and see if we get something from that series. But yeah, come on, Ray, tell us what you think.
Yeah.
So, there are two ways to describe the series. When you look in an emotional way as an Indian fan, it was the 3 week as an Indian fan. I don't want to remember. It was really sad to see the boys being the field. The heads down, losing a home test match in front of the home crowd. That's you don't want to be part of that dressing room. How the boys feel, but the noise around the team. There's so many people. They all become a critics all in a sudden. And it shows how good cricket as a game is. 3 months before we won a World Cup and everyone praising this team. This is one of the best teams. After 3 months, it all looked upside down. So, as I read so many comments. Cricket's a great level, and it shows that cricket is life. It teaches you how you don't want to take things for granted. And I've read the quote by Michael Clark. Nothing to take away from New Zealand, but the fatigue by the Indian players. They were, as we speak earlier, lot of international cricket is all through the year. Now, when you play a lot of crickets, the mental fatigue you experience is hard to explain. Whenever you go for a shots, when you play a lot of cricket, your brain will automatically adapt to the short selections. But when you play a lot of cricket, the fatigue inside your mind will also doing things. You play a wrong shot, and when you got out cheaply for 1 or 2 innings, it will affect you in the entire series. I think this is what happened to the all batsmen in this series particularly. When you see SSV Jaiswal, he was in very good form until this series, but once the 46 happened in the Bangalore Test in the first innings, it all started changing suddenly. Now, after the 46, the Indian batsmen in second innings they scored really good 462, but no, from the 46, the Indian batsmen were looked down. It's really hard for them to come up, and after the sadness, especially in the Pune, that's no yeah, all credit to the New Zealand players. They played so good, but no, to think in Indian perspective, it's the lack of confidence rather than the technique or application. It's a lack of confidence and mental fatigue. I feel. Hopefully, our boys will turn things back in down under and will come back as victorious. But as all everyone predict, Luke will set its feather in cap in the 147 years Test history. It shows the dominance of this Indian team in the home soil. We're unbeaten and we're hard to beat. That's what the whole cricketing world thinks. But it happened because it has to be happen. Every records are meant to be broken, and it was broke. Yet I'm happy for the Kiwi boys, but as an Indian fan, it really shocked me. But no, as a fan, I'll always stood by my team, and no, whatever happens this is my team, so I'll support this team whatever happens.
Yeah, Ray, where next for India? Is it because there's been a bit of, it's been quite a stark and rapid. I don't want to say a stark and rapid decline as if that's it for these players I'm about to list off, but it was a tough series for Ashwin, for Jadeja, for Rohit Sharma, even. do you stick with those players, or do you start having a think about the next generation now?
No, that's too much to think right now. But the only request as a fan I'm asking to the BCCA or the senior players is, yeah, they are senior players. They've been so good. They have the leverage to skip the domestic tournaments. But when you look the players from other countries like the Aussies or England, though they're so good, they always take part in their domestic tournaments. Even in India, in the last generation, the players like Sachin, Dravid, Ganguly, even though they played a lot of international cricket, they played the domestic tournaments as well. But right
Yeah.
now, the players like Virat, Rohit, Ashwin, they skipped the domestic tournament before the New Zealand series. While right now, but no, in Sheffield Shield, we see Pat Cummins, Steve Smith, Marnus Labuschagne, they all taking part in the Sheffield Shield. So I want our senior players to take part in the domestic tournament. It will give some experience to local talents as well, and it will
Yeah.
give some experience to the senior players, to read the pitch and to play in the Indian conditions. So as a
Yeah.
request from a fan, I want our senior players to take part in the domestic tournaments. And in the batting order, I don't want anything to change. It's just a series. Even a greats will experience these kind of things. So I'll hopefully no, I know this team will come back stronger, and I'm expecting this in the next series in Down Under.
Yeah. And it's tempting to start looking ahead to the Border Gavaskar. I think we'll probably always come to a little bit of preview for that in every episode before it all kicks off towards the end of this month. It's only maybe 2 weeks or so away now. Can you obviously KL Rahul and Dhruv Jurel have played for India A this week. There's been the first day of that second tour match in Melbourne. Can you see Jurel and KL Rahul coming in to the side?
Yeah. So Dhruv Jurel, he scored 80 in a game where the Indian A team got all out for 161. So it shows he's a real talent, and it's his first innings in the Down Under. In his first innings, he played against the likes of Michael Neser, Scott Boland, and came victorious, I say, because he scored 80 in the tough conditions in the down, and he faced a new ball as well. So when he was in the crease, the team were 11 for 4, and it's just 16 balls. So he literally faced a new ball from Scott Boland and Michael Neser. So he have the capacity to tackle the Australian attack.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really hard for him to come into this Indian batting lineup, because we have Rishabh Pant in the middle order who keeps for India, and we have Shafraz Khan who's been doing so good. So it's been a headache for Gambhir and Rohit in the selection calls.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure Dhruv Jurel needs to be playing one of the fighters matches. As a fan, I wish that, because he has the potential. And in the last tours, we have Subman Gill debuted in Down Under. Mayank, a lot of players debuted in Down Under and shown their skills. So this is the right time for Indian team to take some bold calls. So I'm hoping Dhruv Jurel will make some impact in the series.
Yeah. And I think we'll come back to India-Australia chat a little bit later, because I've got a few more things that I quite like to ask about the India side. And we can have a little discussion about the openers for Australia, but I haven't got Scooby really. But England also played last night. They batted first, scored 263 for 8. Jofra Archer helped put on 37 in a strong stand at the end, helped England get up 100 more runs in the last 10 overs. West Indies then knocked them off, absolutely no bother, only lost 2 wickets. Casey Carty hit 128 not out in a pretty superb innings. As I mentioned a moment ago, I was preoccupied at Deepdale, regretting every moment of it. But Luke, you said you had a watch of the game. What were your thoughts? Where did it go wrong for England?
Yeah, well, it never helps when you're 24 for 4. I think the top order has looked pretty unsettled. And I think it's probably part of a larger conversation. And Phil Salt even admitted that the players in this team simply haven't played enough 50 over cricket in their careers. And he actually, funnily enough, he said it'll be nice if there was a domestic 50 over competition. And I don't know what he really meant by that, because there is.
Surely that must be tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
I think he's making a joke, isn't he?
But that sort of just goes to show the 50 over competition in the UK, how it's regarded. And I've said this before, it's become a glorified second team competition. And it's not serving our young players well, because they simply aren't playing in it. And this team that played against the West Indies, I'm not sure how many of them will actually go to the Champions Trophy. We've got a lot of players to come back in who are obviously rested because they've been in Pakistan. They're going to New Zealand for the Test series. But yet again, those players haven't played any 50 over cricket. So they're going to go into the tournament undercooked as well. So yeah, I think there's a lot of conversations to have about how we can sort of restore the 50 over format in England. Obviously, it was only in 2019 when we won the World Cup, and how good that team was. But since then, they've sort of had a massive fall off. And yeah, I was looking at the ODI rankings. England are now 7th. And after that defeat to West Indies, I think we're likely to go down to 8th and below Afghanistan.
Yeah, I mean, Afghanistan have got some decent form.
Of course, but nothing against Afghanistan when you compare the resources in England compared to Afghanistan. That's got to be that is evidence of an issue, for sure. Yeah, but as I say, I think the team is going to completely change for the Champions Trophy. There are a few players that have done well in the series. I'd say Livingston, with that 100 he got in the second game. I think that's probably his best innings that he's played in a England shirt, if I'm not mistaken. I think Bethel also looks like he's got a lot of talent. Yeah. He's obviously going to go to New Zealand on the Test tour. But yeah, there's others sort of like Cox, Molesley. I know he got a 50 in this game, but they sort of, I don't know, they look a bit underdone for me. And it was almost like an England A side. If there was an England A side, you'd say, oh, it looks like quite a good team.
Yeah.
But for our sort of first 11 one-day side, yeah, I was looking at the West Indies team and I was like, man for man, they're just better than us. So yeah, it wasn't surprising.
And is there any not concern about Jofra Archer's form, because he's so regularly shown his class, but we haven't really seen it this series. He played a lot against Australia. We saw it, I thought, at Lord's. This is a while ago now, in September. He looked really strong. But apart from that, I've not seen much from him. I'm not suggesting in any way you'd like just not stop picking him or anything like that. He's got that edge that I don't think any other England bowler has. When he's on song, there isn't a bowler, dare I say it, in the world like him. But we just haven't seen that from him of late.
Yeah, that's it.
Is this just a stick with it? It'll come. He's not played for 18 months. Because that's probably my gut instinct to it, is he needs to keep playing, get him in the Champions Trophy team, and keep his arm turning over, I suppose, and it'll come.
Yeah, that's interesting. You should say that, Will, actually, because I did write some things down about Archer. And I think, yeah, he hasn't been at his best in the series at all. And just going back to that last game, so his first 2 balls got driven through the covers by King for 4 effortlessly. He got smashed down the ground twice in his opening spell by Lewis. And yeah, I don't know if he's struggling for pace or a bit of rhythm. But yeah, it's certainly not the sort of Joffre that we saw in 2019, who was running in, hitting the pitch hard, sort of knocking batsmen over, balls hitting the stumps and then flying over the boundary. So yeah, I think it could be a sort of fitness issue, and maybe he just needs to keep bowling. But yeah, a fully fit firing Jofra Archer is the best one-day bowler in the country. So I think it's definitely worth sticking with him and sort of managing him and seeing if we can get him up to full speed for the Champions Trophy.
Yeah. Ray, before we move on, have you got any thoughts about the white ball setup for England?
They lost the series, but the good thing in this England white ball squad is England is giving some players an international exposure, which is a good thing. When players get an international exposure at the early age, it will give some kind of an international scenario experience to grow them as a player. And in January, England is coming to India to play a white ball series. I think 3 T20Is and 3 one-days, which will mark us and start of Bass coaching career in white ball as well, I guess.
Yeah.
And my final point that I just want to raise, I've jotted down Champions Trophy 11, the 11 that I would pick. It might be quite controversial to some, and you guys can give your thoughts. But
I'll make sure to write the timestamp down and clip this one up so you can get some nice abuse.
Sure, cheers.
On Twitter.
Right, let's go. So I would personally open with Crawley and Duckett.
Okay, fine.
Potentially Salt over Crawley, I'd say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like both of them at the top of the order. Root at 3, Brook at 4, Stokes at 5, Jamie Smith at 7. So to be honest, it is basically the test team.
Who's 6?
So we got Crawley, Duckett, Root, Brook, Stokes.
Yeah.
Smith at 6.
Yeah.
And then Livingston 7. I think he's got to keep his place in the team. I think he's been batting a bit high though. Maybe
I'd put him. No, I'd keep him higher up. What position was he? What position was he when he got his 100? Because that was a classy innings.
I think he batted 5 maybe.
I'd keep him a bit higher up.
Yeah, okay.
Because Smith's done really well. But I mean, Smith. It's tough because technique-wise, assuredness-wise, Smith looks like probably a better player than Livingston.
Yeah, sort of. Why I've gone for these players?
He does well in the. He does well. Smith does well with the tail, which is why I'd be inclined to have him low down and keep Livingston, who's batted really well. And you know what? Earned his place, being shown I know I'm sounding a little bit old hat, but showing some proper commitment to the ODI side by playing in both these series. I think shunning him down to 7 to put Stokesy higher up the order, to put Root higher up the order. Yeah, Root's Root. But Stokes hasn't done much since his, obviously unreal innings, since the 147 at Lord's last summer. I think it would be a bit on a more personal, on a team management level, a bit harsh on Livingston to pop him down the order for Stokes going ahead of him.
I kind of do agree with you there. But my sort of philosophy is 50 over cricket is more like test cricket than T20 cricket. I think your batters need to be able to build an innings and not just sort of, regardless of the pitch, the situation, just go for it. So that would be my top 7. Then we're into the bowlers. I'd have Kars at 8. I think he showed what he could do out in Pakistan. I think he's a really good white ball bowler as well. Then I have Gus Atkinson 9, Archer and Rashid.
Yeah.
I've probably forgotten or left out a few players there, but that would be my 11 for the Champions Trophy.
Don't have any complaints. I might have a think about it over the next week and come back with my own in due course. I think we should have a quick break now, and then we'll come back and have a little discussion about ball tampering. Hello and welcome back to the Behind the Stumps podcast. We're going to have a quick discussion about the alleged scratching of the ball. The allegations made against the India A team during the first game against Australia A, which Australia won quite comfortably. Look, it's always quite murky waters. I always feel like I'm on thin ice talking about stuff like this. So I'm just going to read out what was reported by the Australian Associated Press a few days ago. According to them, umpire Sean Craig said that India had caused a scratch on the ball during the fourth innings. And then the ball was changed on the fourth morning. The India players have not been sanctioned. And Australia won the game by 7 wickets, so it didn't really make a difference. Since David Warner's come out and said that, I think talking about Cricket Australia, they've obviously squashed it as fast as they could, given that India is coming out here this summer. But if the umpires deem something happened, I'm sure there will be a follow-up. I think the umpires or the match referee should be standing here answering questions. My thoughts are pretty sort of simple. Like, if it's all a little bit murky, they could probably do with just clarifying what happened. The umpire needs to be careful if he hasn't got any evidence for India. It's basically a cheating allegation, isn't it? So it'd be good to get some clarification on that. And I just thought, like, if it'd been another team doing it, if it'd been Australia, I mean, it's a team all England fans love to hate, so I can sympathise with their history. That if this had been Australia with the allegations, it would have been a much bigger story. I think we'd all know about it a little bit more. So I think it'd just be nice to get to the bottom of what happened a little bit more clearly, and then move on, as opposed to, I hate to find myself agreeing with David Warner, in that they probably could do with addressing what happened a little bit more succinctly. And if India have cheated, then which is what these allegations suggest, then there probably should be some repercussions, because if anyone else did it and there was evidence for it, then there would be repercussions. Luke, have you got any thoughts on this before Ray provides his staunch defence?
Yeah, I think it's maybe been blown out of proportion a little bit. I don't think India A are going to face any sanctions. And Ishan Kishan was obviously very upset about it and confronted the umpires, which probably wasn't the best move. But yeah, the fact that David Warner is commenting on ball tampering, there's a certain level of irony there.
True.
He'll say anything to get clicks, right? At this stage of his career, he was talking about coming out and opening for Australia in the Border Gavaskar Trophy if they needed him. But yeah, I think it's best to move on and just see it for what it was. A ball. Yeah, unless
ball
the
can
umpire
also just get scratched, can't it?
Yeah, exactly.
They do need evidence. 100%.
Unless the umpire saw someone in the India team deliberately scratch the ball, I don't think there's much of a case there at all.
Right.
Yeah, so I see this as a gimmick by the Australian media just to hype up the series. Because, I saw a few of the clips where, when Australia were chasing 200 plus runs, two of the batsmen were clearly out, but they were not given out by their own umpires, which was, which made the Indian players really unhappy in the field. It was evident. And after that incidents, players were, literally not happy with the umpiring. They went in between overs and have a chat with the umpires. Maybe, that induced the umpires to lead into that incident. And it's an allegation. It's not a proven incident. So there's nothing to comment about that incident. I personally feel this a gimmick before the series, just to hype the upcoming Border Gavaskar Trophy.
Interesting. Yeah, it's all pretty speculative, isn't it? This kind of stuff, because obviously, you know, being accused of ball tampering is very serious, probably too serious a business. It's more of a serious business than it probably should be, given that
it's just an
meant to be
allegation.
a bit of fun.
There's nothing to no one.
Oh yeah. I don't want to accuse the Indian players of cheating. I'm just, saying if we could, we'd like to know just like what, like actually like work out what happened to clear up, because you know some people have seen the news and thought, oh yeah, oh no, the Indian players have been cheating, where it's unfair on them if they haven't and there's been a mistake, or if the umpires got something wrong or whatever. So yeah. Right, I want to quickly ask you a little bit more about selection surrounding the India A stuff. Have you seen any more apart from Dhruv Jurel from the India A performances so far to justify a selection for the Test team? And if so, who would you be replacing? And also, given he seemed keen for Jurel to get in the side, obviously Pant's undroppable at the moment. He's probably was a shining light throughout the New Zealand series. His innings against New Zealand in that last innings, actually in the last Test, was pretty remarkable. Any kind of support, and he would have got them over the line. Anyway, who do you drop to bring in Jurel, and any other changes from this these India A games?
Yeah, from the last test in Mumbai. So I'm sure Bumrah will come back into the Indian 11. And Rohit's availability is not yet sure. So if Rohit is unavailable,
of
maybe
course, yeah, he's out for the first two, isn't he? He's out for the first two games. Yeah.
So if Rohit is unavailable, so that's not confirmed right now. So he's yet to confirm his availability. So if he's unavailable, I think KL Rahul might open with Yashasvi Jaiswal, because India don't want to change the middle order from shuffling Subman Gill to open. So KL Rahul might open with Yashasvi Jaiswal, Gill at 3, Virat at 4. And if India wants to bring Guru Jurel, sadly Sarfraz Khan needs to drop down from the batting lineup. So Sarfraz Khan might be the batter who gives his place to Guru Jurel. And from the bowling lineup, I see Bumrah, Siraj, and Akashdeep as 3 main pace bowlers. And whether India will go with 2 spinners or an all-rounder, it's a arguable thing. Because in the last series, India went with both Ashwin and Jadeja in the 11. I think Jadeja was injured in the last series. India went with Ashwin. Yeah. So right now, India have both Jadeja and Ashwin. So it's 2 quality spinning all-rounders. So that's a selection headache at that point. So whether India will go with 3 fast bowlers and 2 spinning all-rounders, or 4 fast bowling option and a spinning all-rounders, let's depend on Gambhir and the captain. And the other thing about the captainship is because of Rohit's unavailability, Jasprit Bumrah is going to captain this Indian team. So he already captained India in England for the last Test match in the 2021 series. He lost the match, so it's going to be an important test for Bumrah as a captain. As the future holds for him after. So because Rohit is 37 right now, so we don't know what will happen in the future. Yeah, this might take on Indian batting lineup and bowling. Yeah, what do you guys think? What do you guys?
I think Sarfraz Khan has credit in the bank. I wouldn't drop him for the first Test. But he is the obvious man to go if he continues to struggle. Especially if Jurel, has another good second innings, for example, in Melbourne.
I think Kohli's due a few, isn't he?
That's what I was about to. I paused for dramatic effect, as if to go, well, what's Virat doing? Because Babar Azam was dropped by Pakistan. Not as good as Kohli, but the Pakistan equivalent in terms of a talismanic batter. And that worked for them. Like, what stage does his failure to make big runs make you think? Especially, let's say, there's a scenario where Sarfaraz Khan has like an all right start, and Kohli's just, continuing his, slightly below par form. Like, when do India start thinking, oh my God, we might have to drop the king?
I think
No,
I can't imagine them doing it during the Australia series.
Yeah.
But if he fails to score in all of the tests, then that is going to be a question that gets asked, right, Ray?
no way, mate. I don't think India will drop Virat, even though he might still perform.
Even if he can
That's the
no
kind
longer
of
walk.
environment we have in India.
Yeah.
Fair enough. There'll be a time where I'm in denial. When Root eventually starts declining, I'll be in denial for a very long time, I think. Have we got anything more to add on anything, boys?
Yeah, there was one thing just circling back to Legends. I noticed James Anderson has put himself forward for the IPL auction at 42. Yeah. I would absolutely love to see that. I think my interest in the IPL has sort of waned over the last few years. But if Anderson was playing for a franchise, that's my new franchise. I will be watching every game. But whether he gets picked up or not, I don't know. What do you think, Ray?
So, if any one of the Ambani family members are watching or listening to this, please pick Jimmy Anderson into the Mumbai Indians lineup. Because as a fan of Mumbai Indians, I want him to wear the blue jersey, bowling in the Wankhede with a new ball, swinging in and out, and making the batsman dancing to his tunes. I badly want Jimmy in my team. I want to support him, fan for my team. Come on, Mumbai Indians, let's pick Jimmy Anderson.
But let's think logically, though. He's not played a T20 since 2014.
Yeah, not played in a decade.
Do you still think he'll be able to? I guess, to be honest, with the impact rule as well, he could just bowl his overs and then he could get subbed out, right? For a batter, I guess.
Don't get me onto impact.
Yeah, but
that is a joke that could happen. But yeah.
Personally, I feel in the all Indian grounds, Mumbai's Wankhede is the only ground which suits perfectly for Jimmy Anderson. Because of the bouncy pitch we have in Mumbai, and especially in the new ball, will perfectly suit for Jimmy Anderson with the new ball in the white balls. So they might have a little bit of chance for him to pick by Mumbai Indians, but that's not sure. Maybe 1 or 2% of chance for him to play for Mumbai, given the CV he has.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be good for any franchise. Their publicity would go up massively. Even if he just sort of warms the bench and is a bit of a sort of bowling coach to some of
mentor.
The young.
He's pure IPL mentor material, isn't he?
Well, I mean, he's still fit and he's still a good fielder. It's not like he's a 42-year-old who's going to have to stand at short, fine leg and he can't move. So I don't think it would be the worst bit of investment. I don't think he's going to be that expensive either.
No, he won't be. He won't.
But the sad
thing
thing
he'd be
is,
a good pick.
I'd
have him in my team.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
I was just saying I'd have him in my team.
Yeah, but the sad thing is his base price is 1.5 Indian crores, which is literally more than 100,000 pounds.
Okay.
For just 2 months, which is quite high when compared to his because he retired from the international cricket. So if he set his base price for 1 crore Indian rupees or 50 lakh Indian rupees, they might have a higher chance of him playing in the IPL. But let's see.
I also saw an Italian player registered himself for the IPL, which I thought was quite a long stretch, but you never know.
Almost Jake Troca.
Yeah, have you seen him bowl at all, Ray? Or
Yeah. So I saw him bowl in the Canada T20 League, and he's picked by Mumbai Indians in the International League T20 in UAE.
Yeah.
So he might be another prospect for Mumbai Indians because he's going to play for Mumbai.
Yeah. I saw some clips. He's tall, looks quite quick.
Bowling a lot of slow ones.
Yeah, but he's still a bit of an unknown, right? I don't know whether anyone would pick him up at this stage.
Yeah,
he needs to prove himself in the Italian international side.
And he's currently in Caribbean training with Carlos Brathwaite.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that will help.
Yeah, that will help.
While we're speaking about the T20 League, there's another new tournament called Global T20 League, which is going to happen in Caribbean in the next 1 or 2 months, where Hampshire and the team from West Indies, Australia, US are going to take part. So it's like winners from every country's T20 league are going to take part in a global Triple T20 league. So that's another interesting tournament coming up.
It's like sort of a club World
Hampshire
Cup
from
then.
England.
When does that start, right?
Kind of.
You know the date?
I think next month, I guess. Yeah.
Well, we should get on that. Perhaps we'll have a little preview at the end of one of our Board of Good episodes for it, because I haven't heard of it, so I'd be cool to have a little research into that. This has been the Behind the Stumps podcast. Thank you again for listening. Again, if you're still listening now, fair play. Thanks for putting up with the drivel. Again, if you're listening this far, I think it's probably worth a subscribe, because you must clearly enjoy something about what we're doing. And again, I'll keep banging this drum. Please drop a comment. Comments are so finite and rare. So if you can improve that aspect, that would be unbelievable. So yeah, please drop a comment below. If you're listening on YouTube, and if you're on Spotify, thanks for tuning in. You're probably one of about 8 people who listen on Spotify, so fair play. Rayan, thanks very much for joining me. Good luck at work this evening.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, everyone.
And Luke, go well, mate.
Yeah, go well, Will. Thank you very much.
Class, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week for more chat. Bye bye.